Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Scott Lofton. I'm the Director of Customer Success here at Doddi. I'm really excited about today's webinar focused on the future of hiring and onboarding. Before we begin, just a few housekeeping items. First and foremost, I wanted to acknowledge our attendees today. This wouldn't have been made possible without their partnership of our speakers and their organizations. So again, I want to thank Good Time, Sapling, and Recruiting for being such great partners in helping drive registration here. I see we have a really strong attendee rate here and want to thank you guys so much for that. Next, I want to actually outreach to the audience. We want to keep this conversation really free-flowing and want to answer as many questions as possible. To actually encourage audience participation within the chat queue, if you could go down there and ask some questions throughout the conversation, that would be great. We, of course, have some preset topics, but again, we really like to keep this engaging and encourage your participation across the board. So if you could do that, please. And so now I'd like to begin. We've got our fantastic panelists here, and I'd like to take a minute for them to introduce themselves. So maybe we'll go ahead and start with you, Ahryun.
Awesome. My name is Ahryun. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Good Time. Good Time is an interview logistics platform where we automate the entire interview process, all the way from the first recruiter phone call all the way to the on-site in the offer, and we automate the scheduling of those interviews. Also, because we have in-depth and proprietary data about interviewers and their skill sets, their DNI status, their schools that they went to, or companies they work for in the past, and so on, we can actually match the right interviewers to a given candidate. Also, throughout the whole interview process, we gather a lot of data, and we surface those insights to recruiting teams and future talent so that they can continuously improve the entire interview process.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. Dominik, how about yourself?
All right, my name is Dominik. I work as tech recruiter at Recruitee, a provider of cloud application that makes hiring actions easier. I'm responsible for bringing talents for technical positions like designers, quality assurance engineers, and developers. So our software can manage the full journey of candidate, and it really makes a difference in a recruiter's job. So that would be about me and my company. Thanks for inviting me here.
Thank you for being here. And Ramesh.
Hi, my name is Ramesh. I'm a VP of Engineering and Head of Security and IT as well. My role here is to kind of help scale the team members internally and also help build awesome product so that the rest of the companies can build better companies. So that is our mission, and my goal is to align myself around that. Sapling is a HCIM space. We are a system of record, and we believe in three things: data, connectivity, and automation. And we serve the mid-market. We want the mid-market companies to thrive with all the plethora of SaaS tools, and we become the central point to connect and automate and simplify the complex workflows, like, to help the team members remote as well, localized as well.
Fantastic, great. Again, thank you guys so much for being here. Excited to share this dialogue and discussion on these important topics. And so today we're really focused on, in light of what's going on and the impact of COVID-19 around the future of hiring and onboarding. And it feels a little bit strange maybe to talk about the future already when we're really immersed in the present right now too. So maybe I'd like to maybe start there with just kind of a general question for the audience. I'd love to maybe start with you, Ahryun. I'd love for you to maybe just share your experience right now. When did you and your organization actually start going remote? And what have been some of the initial challenges and some of the opportunities that have come to light so far?
Yeah, great question. So we went fully remote in March. It seems like ages ago, to be honest. I can't remember exactly when, but it was a couple days before San Francisco officially implemented the shelter-in-home mandate. And so we definitely had quite a few remote employees. So it's not like we weren't fully prepared, but it was quite a transformation and transition for us. Some challenges definitely were not from technical perspective, because everyone has laptops, we have all the remote tools that everyone can use, but it's more about communication and then creating and maintaining the culture and so on. So what we actually did was we asked one of our engineers who's working from Brazil, and he's been working remotely for over a decade. So we asked him, who we called our in-house remote expert, to put a presentation together. And we basically trained the entire employees on how to communicate effectively as a fully remote team, and also kind of do's and don'ts of, not do's and don'ts, but tips and tricks of how to be a good kind of team member, and how to be productive, which tools to use, how to keep your work-life balance so you don't overwork and kind of let the work bleed into your life and so on. So that was extremely helpful. We actually shared the whole video and presentation on LinkedIn also. So if anyone's interested, I can totally share that again.
Yeah, that sounds great. And how nice. It sounds like you already had someone in-house that you could kind of rely on around pulling from some of the remote best practices. That's really great. Dominik, I'd love to turn to you. How has the last 6 or 7 weeks been for you and your organization and your approach to the remote process?
Yeah, I can honestly say that the major challenge was that we weren't used to full remote work, right? So before the Corona outbreak, our people were allowed to take home office from time to time, but in fact, it wasn't our common practice. So we had to change our habits and then prepare for the longer isolation from each other. When we realized that what was coming, we managed to switch into a remote setup in just a few days, yeah? And it was done with almost 100 people. So for sure, technology helped us in it, because we have a good collaboration software. We have all applications in cloud infrastructure. So it was a tech advantage that helped us to deliver the job. Still, it was a new thing for everyone, right? Because we had to make a mental change first, and then adapt to the new reality. But when you accept it and you realize that this is the only certain thing awaiting for you in such tough times, you know how to take the control, right? So now I have to admit that our leaders try to keep transparent communication with us on a regular basis. So thanks to them, we know we knew since the first moment what actions Recruitee was undertaking. So to process us through the whole change. And I think such communication kept us, more friendly to the change. And I think nobody can feel now too isolated, because we care in our remote setup for people. We tried to touch the base with them, and it wasn't so bad, I think. Yeah, I can tell later about my own onboarding experience, because 2 months ago I was joining Recruitee. Yeah, so it was like the week when company was switching into full remote setup, and I think I can talk about it a bit later.
Absolutely, we'd love to dive into that later. Ramesh, would love to give you an opportunity as well for you to share your experience and how the transition has been.
Sapling was in a good spot. Since the inception, we believed in a global talent, and 50% of our workforce was global, but we were evolving as a global clusters, archipelagos, one in Vancouver, one in India, and one in Pakistan, one in US, San Francisco being the headquarters. And we wanted to tap the world talent. And then we were ready with the processes, tools, and automation anyway to support customers and also internal infrastructure. However, before this became a pandemic, and I was watching as part of the leadership, we want to protect the employees first. Safety is always first if you look at the security book. And in January itself, I was having a conversation with Andy Krebar and the rest of the leadership team. Hey, storm is forming, winter is coming, like Game of Thrones, and we need to start planning. How do we make sure the team is comfortable? This is a plan. we don't have to invoke it, but here is the 10 things we need to do. Like, help the team members, educate what it takes for them to be successful, and also provide that empathy that leadership is with you. We are not going to ask you to come down San Francisco, take the public transportation, and rescue yourself. So we're putting everything and also understanding each and every one. And then when it came to the time that during, I think, March, they said, we are all going remote. Nobody needs to come to the work. I want to get guys to stay home. And if anything needed, we are here. So having that kind of a planning helped. And we being a remote team also kind of facilitated that quick agile movement. So far, it's phenomenal. We always feel like, having somebody closer to is always better, but it's video calls, online meetings, and social gatherings and social funds end of the day is helping us to stay connected. So far it's really good change, and we would like to continue further evolving this.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, great conversation so far around this. So now I want to concentrate on the future, right? So what are some of the methodologies and themes that you guys over the last 6 or 7 weeks that you've learned through the process of being fully remote? And I love that they're kind of some different unique situations. Dominik, your organization had not been remote prior to the COVID-19 issue, and now it has. And so I'm going to start with you on this question here. What has the philosophy changed for your organization? Are they more receptive to being remote now? Has the attitude kind of maybe changed a little bit? And do you foresee them, keeping, even past, once COVID-19 resolves, do you guys see this continuing on and embracing remote processes moving forward even more?
Yeah, so first of all, currently we want to keep everybody in the loop of communication, yeah, because we have some messages from our board that like giving the people the perspective of what will be going on in the next weeks or months. So our leaders are trying to be also close to the people, especially new ones, right? Because we didn't stop hiring, we still gather new people on the board. So I think it's crucial to know how to behave in virtual mode and answer, every single doubt and every single question that comes from both newbies and experienced employees. So I think, especially from HR perspective, it's a wonderful time to, flip the focus to the internal audience, right? So our employees. So our team is focused now more for structuring company-wide processes. So for example, we are preparing an evaluation of employees' experience. So it will be released in the form of survey. And we would like to know to share the experience. We would like our employees to share the experience from current times, how it was before, what change do they expect. So I think this is the quality time we want to use just to engage people, to keep in the loop with them, and I think it will be paying off. For now, we don't have a feeling that people felt like they don't feel isolated, but I suppose especially those who have been working together for 2, 3, or 4 years, I think they started missing each other. and we are about just to arrange a return plan to the offices, because I think there's first symptoms that let us think about returning to the offices. So once some limitations here in Poland and Netherlands, because we are in these both countries, will be loosened up, I think it will be much more available, much more convincing to bring people back to the offices.
Sure. Yeah, really interesting there. I actually want to take part of that topic, and I've got a question for Ahryun. So being in executive leadership right now, how do you maintain that balance and culture right now with remote? I know you said that there is kind of a delicate balance, and I know prior to us actually hopping on the webinar, you were talking about ideas around coffee chats and virtually and doing different things. So I'd love to understand your philosophy around some of the things that maybe you're gonna implement, maybe even moving into the future, and your thoughts. Have you considered maybe taking everything fully remote even after things resolve down the line too, right?
Definitely. I think this, who would have known that the entire world will go remote because of virus outbreak? This is such unprecedented time, and I think it's been eye-opening for a lot of people. One thing that actually was brought up by some of our employees who were actually remote before COVID was that they're actually like people who were close to the remote employees were like, now I feel like now I can be more empathetic about how remote employees feel in terms of like the importance of communication, importance of written communication, asynchronous communication, and so on. So that empathy definitely will stay with the company, with the entire employee base. And also to keep that culture going, definitely it's been a big transition for us because we had to learn how to create culture with the current situation. Before we kind of took it for granted, right? Because we see each other face to face every day, we rub shoulders with them, we go to coffee with them, we had happy hours all the time, and now we are trying to create a virtual culture. So a few things that we've done before, I think I mentioned that in our first 10 minutes, was that we actually tried doing virtual happy hour, where one of our founders taught the entire team how to create Mexican martini. He used to be a bartender a while back, but he still retained all the knowledge. So he bought all the alcohols and everything. I'm not really an alcohol person, so I don't know what he bought, but he bought a bunch of stuff and like taught everyone how to make it. That was a lot of fun. And also today we are doing like we gathered a lot of baby photos from our employees, and we are gonna do a guess who it is kind of game, and that will be our virtual happy hour today. So definitely that empathy for remote employees, I think that will definitely stay with us beyond COVID. And also we are doing a lot of creative things to create the culture within the company.
Fantastic, great. So we're actually getting some really good audience questions. So I want to take advantage of that and be able to answer some of these in real time here. So the first question is, how has customer behavior changed in using your platforms? Codility, GoodTime, Recruitee, Sapling during the last month or so. I can go ahead and I can maybe start with this one. So I know on our side, right? So we work primarily with HR and recruiting. Folks across the board to provide assessments, technical assessments. And I would say that there is a lot of different best practices and shifts in behavior that we've seen, and actually really innovative across the board. So talking to the group prior, we had a customer that had done two very specific things. One, they completely eliminated the phone screen from the recruiting process. They felt that having as much face time and with a candidate was as important as possible. And so really wanted to make sure that they were able to take advantage of that throughout the process. So actually eliminated the phone screen. The other thing that they did is while they can't conduct an on-site interview, what they wanted to do is really expose the candidate to their specific culture virtually still. And so what they were able to actually do is recreate a virtual office environment experience and actually show that to the candidate. And so, hey, like you're not going to be able to, we're not going to be able to go to the office in a while, but this is how the office functions and what it looks like, and exposing the candidate to that gave them a better sense and feel for where they would be working, where potentially they would be sitting. And so I think that goes a long way within the process itself. Another organization is campus recruitment was really a big part of the process, and so they were taking their campus recruitment and figuring out how to map that virtually. And so actually using Codility, they're creating what they call a code challenge, and so the ability to go out there and source online a whole host of candidates and create kind of the fun experience and challenge behind it, and have a prize marketed towards sourcing these groups. And so creating this virtual sourcing experience is really kind of keen and kind of innovative in kind of taking that to the next level. So those are some of the things that our customers are doing. The other thing that they're also doing is they're adopting new technology, and they're doubling down on learning and development right now. And so there's a lot of platforms that are giving engineers access to. I think in one of the webinars we had a couple of weeks ago, we were talking to a CTO. There was a platform called Pluralsight, which basically opened up all their online learning capabilities and tools. And so an area of an opportunity for folks while they're remote to maybe grow some skills and partner with them and your people ops folks on making sure that you keep your internal employees skill set sharp as well. And so those are some of the things that we're seeing from our customers and taking different innovative approaches, and would love to learn from you guys. I'll maybe start with you, Ramesh. What are some of the things that you're seeing at Sapling right now in terms of innovation and what customers might be doing with your technologies?
Totally. The first thing, I would like to share a funny thing in this crisis anyway. Our system got overwhelmed. I was looking at what's going on, and then I see uptick of COVID emails being sent out to the workforce of all our customers. And I know there are 100 articles elsewhere. Everybody's passing across what to do, but coming from the internal company, that is vital information. Every employee is supposed to read it because they want to know what is going on and how they act, what is the modus operandi. And using tools like Sapling, kind of enabling them, I don't have to send these emails to individual groups or whatever it is. I don't have to figure it out how to measure all that. I'll just one email, send it to entire workforce, globally distributed. Now let me have a conversation with them. Open up this time so that be empathetic. We are there for you. We have not seen this. It's a 100-year historic event, and everybody's trying their best effort. And please stand by, hold on for the next set of instructions, information, stay put, shelter in place. And it's a global thing. It's not just a one area like in the US, Canada, or Asia, but it's across the world. Everybody's overwhelmed. I think having this kind of a notion, how do we separate this monotonous work that can be automated, and how we can use human cognitive abilities for empathetic thing. I need to take care of my employees first, and then afterwards I need to take care of my customers, and then afterwards their customers as well. You need to be very empathetic, and having this kind of notion is helping all the Saras. Thank you for most of the tools, either from GoodTime or Recruitee or Codility or us as well, as all the companies that our members are representing. Having these tools and automation and enabling humans for empathetic is the key. We have used, coming back to internal, this is, even though it is a mixed hybrid approach we had, but we lost the human touch. We started introducing something called like gratitude. Every week we start in the morning with 15 minutes or 10 minutes breakout session in video calls. Talk about who you are grateful, your mom, your friend, your partner, and how it's impacting. It's kind of connecting us together, start the day first. And then in the like a month end, we also have something like socials, kind of something to connect with each other, kind of figure it out, what is that working, what is not working, understand and put it and make it broader. So these kind of internal tools, and also sharing with the community. I think Andrew Kerbar, our CEO, put a blog saying that, hey, this worked for us, and we would like to see if you're interested, please go and experiment this one. I think having this community-based kind of improvements will help us to overcome and then reinvent this new world. That's our path, and we would like to start rapid experimentation, share with the community, and make it better.
Fantastic. Ahryun, I'd like to pose the question to you before we move on to another question here. We've got a lot coming. We've got an active audience, which is fantastic. Yeah, so would love to see, what behavior shifts in your customers are you seeing right now, and would love to hear thoughts around that.
Yeah, definitely. So I do remember in March when pretty much the entire country was going, there was a mandate for shelter in house. I do remember the massive transition of all of our interviews turning into remote interviews. We make it easy. It's a click of a button and then drop in a Zoom link or Google Hangouts link and whatnot. We kind of saw that mass exodus of going from on-site interviews to Zoom interviews. Definitely seen that. And then also recently, I've been talking to a lot of our customers as well as our CAT members about how they view COVID and how they plan to utilize this time. Many of them said they see it as a temporary thing where things will go back to normal and everything. So they're keeping their recruiting team, and what they're asking the recruiting team to do is to really refine and rethink the processes. Because before they were so busy just doing day-to-day and whirlwind of day-to-day. Now they're like, okay, finally, I can take a pause, I can breathe, we can actually really rethink what we have been doing and think of better ways of doing things. So we've definitely seen a lot of our customers refining their templates and their processes within the time and so on.
Great, fantastic. Well, good information across the board there. Would love to move into kind of focus back into the future of hiring, onboarding, and kind of dig into remote interviewing a little bit. And so would love to start with you, Dominik, on this topic and your experience in technical recruiting here. So what are some of the challenges that you're facing right now around having this transition into remote interviewing? Would love to understand maybe things, tips and tricks that you're doing to prepare maybe hiring managers and candidates right now. What are some of those things that you're using right now?
Yeah, okay, so remote interviewing, when you compare it to on-site interview, I think the first issue I can feel is that you can show the candidate your office, its vibes and a bit of culture of your company, right? So as a recruiter, I try to devote more time during interview to tell what values are appreciated at Recruitee, what are working conditions. I know that some companies have videos on their career pages, so candidate can join a virtual office tour. But I think that I haven't met any problems with technology use, because I was keen on remote interviewing in the previous company when we were interviewing by virtual way by default. So it wasn't a problem at all for me. I think I had to put some effort in preparing hiring managers and candidates, for a new approach of interviewing. So I think it should start before the recruitment process is launched, because I can use the time during intake meeting with hiring manager when we compose the recruitment flow and share the expectations between each other. And this is the time that I know if, for example, manager's recruitment experience is not so he's not so keen on doing remote interviewing, so I can share my advice, or I can educate him or her a bit just to make him feel better in such remote. So this is about hiring managers. And when it comes to candidates, I think by each job description we decided to put the information that for the time being all stages in the recruitment process will be held remotely. So this is my job to establish technically an online interview, share to candidate how the meeting will look like, and of course what candidate should prepare beforehand. And then I just try to care for the atmosphere during such an interview, just to humanize this interaction a bit, just to feel just to have an involved and interested candidate on the other side.
Fantastic, that's great. Ramesh, would love to hear from your side too. How are you working with your technical recruiting team in terms of your process, and what is what has changed for you guys and throughout this process, and how are you collaborating now?
Yeah, I would like to share a few thoughts on Dominik's points. I think being human is very important across the board, irrespective of what is going on right now. Our tools and processes were there, but the dynamic has shifted. We were remote, major, and we had processes and tools and internal sourcing. However, the situation that a lot of people either out of place or distressed, and then we need to be empathetic, right? We want to make sure how we can best connect with you and use the time efficiently. That person looking for a particular position may be looking at 10 different opportunities at this time, rather than a passive candidate. Hey, I need to plan next 3 months. Complete dynamic has changed. We, from our side, we need to put it in a right perspective. Hey, like you said, what are the 3 things we need from you, right? We want to make sure we want to have a 15 minutes initial conversation, making sure it's a right culture fit, that you're okay with this kind of a dynamic. Number 3, where are you right now? Are you really looking? Or are you just passive? Or so understanding the candidate or the prospect, and then putting the tools. Here are the 5 areas our candidates will be talking to you. I want to make sure you set up for success and you have enough time. And then afterwards, we have that online conversation. Right now, we are experimenting with a panelist rather than individual, rather than having a 1-week curve. We want to bring it to maybe 2 calls, one for technical, one for cultural, and move on fast. So that way, we are conscious about the candidate time and also internal time as well. So that is being very helpful. But at the same time, we are also conscious about how essential is this for the company. Is this something for the scale post Q2, Q3, or is it something immediately helping the company move the needle, and how we can be win-win here? So the dynamic has changed and the tools are the same. We use ATS, we use online heavily, and also we do debriefing, and we collect the information from internal panelists and also the candidate. How did the interview go? Were you able to kind of speak freely? Was there anything that we could do differently? So collecting that information and giving internal panelists blamelessly how we can make this better, more human, is what is helping us a lot.
Fantastic, that's great. Ahryun, I wanted to see if you had any thoughts as well and give you an opportunity.
Sure, I think a lot of really good points have been brought up. So if I were to add something, I think because of that lack of in-person interaction, hiring managers definitely find it more challenging and difficult to make that hire decision than before, because they're so used to having that in-person interaction and face-to-face interaction with candidates. So a lot of our customers actually mentioned that they've seen some delay in offer decision because of this kind of because people are just not used to this new process. So that I think that's been one of the challenges that we have seen from some of our customers, and how they overcompensate for that lack of in-person interaction is that they try to do more of virtual coffee meetings or virtual lunch, or inviting candidates to virtual happy hours and so on, so that there's more of social interaction than what they used to do before.
Fantastic. That is great. So we are getting a few other questions here. Looks like a lot of folks are really interested in kind of switching themes into onboarding now. And so want to give an opportunity with some of the remaining time that we have here to maybe concentrate into onboarding. And so one of the questions are, how are you doing remote onboarding, and what things will you be doing to support culture, as some employees will return to work and others remain working from home in the upcoming months? So really great question. So we'd love to maybe turn it over to you, Dominik, and see what, when you present an offer now, what is, I'm sure there's questions from the candidates even more so around what does that onboarding experience look like remote, and what have you guys done to prepare the candidate and then also the hiring manager around that?
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked this question, because I was personally onboarded two months ago, and it was a full remote manner, so I can talk on my own experience. So besides just one visit to the office to take the laptop and some accessories. I was introduced to old people since then and processes while working just from home. Yeah, and everything was since then like held remotely. Onboarding is really important process because it starts since the candidate accepts the offer, right? So how are we arranging all the things? So by mail and phone, we arrange the start date of the person, what kind of software is needed for him or her, and we are ready to answer every question which might be relevant to the candidate. So once the new employee joins our company, then this is the moment where all accesses and tools are done in their setup. So maybe I will tell you something about our tools because I think they make a huge difference. Yeah. So we use Slack as a daily communication platform. We arrange every calls, especially these intro calls for newbies by Zoom and Google Hangouts. Moreover, we have a few more tools like Confluence. Then we guide people how to navigate throughout its pages. It's our knowledge site, so it's becoming bigger and bigger. And then you have the space for our knowledge domains, all sets of processes. So I think it's the base of knowledge is becoming quite complex for such 100 people company. And we just give the time people to get familiar with it. And in Confluence, each newbie has a list of onboarding, so they can just tick and complete the actions once they are done. And interesting tool in our case is also Lattice. It's a web platform that is used for tracking objectives of individual, and this platform ensures a better cooperation between leader and subordinate. Right, so I just wanted to emphasize that every new employee at Recruitee is greatly welcome. So we want them feel the part of company as quickly as possible, right? So it's like we want to focus much of quality time of the leaders to onboard them well, and just to stay available, just to stay connected to them, because we know how it feels that, like in my case, a person can feel from time to time just isolated, right? But I have very positive experience after joining Recruitee, and it was successful. Because I think both sides were caring, to make it easy, to make it efficient. So yeah, I think I'm grateful for such a setup to my leaders, to my peers.
Absolutely. No, I love that, and I love how you're bringing in, and I'm relatively new and was partly onboarded here at Cadility remotely too. And I think one of the themes we're also hearing from our customers throughout this process is overcommitment to communicating, right? So when you're remote, when you're virtual, you almost have to communicate more, right? And keeping that connection, that connectivity together, I think throughout that process, in particular when you're onboarding a brand new employee, much more touch points with them, and over communicating throughout that initial period, I think is super crucial. Ramesh, would love to get your feedback here too. As a hiring manager, what are some of the steps and things that you've changed about the onboarding process for yourself and your group?
Thanks, Scott. I'll start with one interesting challenge. Sending the laptop is always the challenging thing, given the supply chain system is under stress, and also kind of sending the laptop to the person in a timely manner with the hygiene, sanitary kind of thing. It's very important. But to take a step back, before we hire, we wanted to make sure there is a plan again. What is the success story for this particular role? And what is the 30-day and what is a 90-day plan? And that exists in our system. Before we put that job description outside, we have that 90-day plan, how to make this individual successful. And the journey starts there. That includes as simple as, does this vision and mission is conveyable? Where is that content is stored? Like Dominik's point of view, is it in Confluence or is it in some other tool? and where is your team? How do I see my remote team members? When we were fortunate to hire 4 team members to Sapling, but it was easy that they could see, oh, here is my team, global team. These are the faces, and here is the org chart looks like. All of a sudden, they belong to a bigger company. Even though they did not walk into the real company, they feel welcomed. And then the moment they're inside, they know what this company, when it started, and what is this current mission, and who is my direct manager, and who is my buddy, and they have all the information. And also warm welcome. We always send with our greetings, hey, welcome to our company, and we would like to share our cool facts. This is my pet or my cool thing. And that way they reflect the same, hey, look at my cat or my dog or maybe my backyard. That way we share the live events as well. We created a Slack channel. We use Slack internally. And the moment like in the new employee walks into the virtual world, and we all greet them, and then at the same time we share the live thing so that they get to know person as well, not as a profession. That is helping a lot. And then afterwards, now I'm here, day 1 or day 2. Once that I-9, all the legal things are done, what are the things that I need to make an impact? And everybody's hungry to make everybody successful, right? And where do I start? So having these tasks enable to either you're a manager or else maybe a one-on-one, just to know about your internal stakeholders and what is my role and how do I get into this process. If, for example, recently we fortunate to hire a group product manager, and then the day 2 after the HR work is done, she's already in a tech leads meeting. She already knew everyone, and then she had that one-on-one conversation. She knows where to go for adding action items, talking points, and she knows what is SDLC, what is our infrastructure looks like, and how do we kind of operate internally and also externally as well. Having this plan, creating a task, not being the way. I don't remember either the head of product or myself or anybody staying hand-holding, saying that have this meeting and open this document. I don't remember doing that. Everything is automated, and then having this checklist, and at the same time, higher level, we can see how successful is the team member, have the checkpoint, and see is there anything that we can learn and retrospective. So this thing is helping a lot, having a plan ahead of the time, and then welcoming that individual with a warm online welcome. And at the same time, day 2 onwards, they are successful. They're able to deliver and connect with the team members. That's helping a lot.
That's fantastic. I love that idea of having a plan. When do you interject that into the process? Is it right before around the offer? Do you expose that and say, hey, listen, we've actually got a 90-day plan for you, and do you expose it then? When's the right time to kind of interject that plan into the process and kind of show that transparency to the candidate for you guys?
Totally. Given the confidentiality of information, because it reveals a lot about the company and also the roadmap and everything, we want to make sure the individual, the hired offer is already out, and they've signed the NDA or the offer letter, one of that. And then subsequent to that, we onboard to critical, essential IT. And then once they are onboarded G Suite, we use a G Suite internally. And once they are in, now they are into the company perimeter of security. And then we will share the document and also the tool where they can digest in a piece win. I would say having this plan ahead of time, it makes it easy to put it in the workflow. Have these 3 things, either background check or shipping the laptop with the controls and having the G Suite enabled. Then now you have access to internal security, zero trust. And then safely we can consume that information, disperse that information. So right on day 1.
Fantastic. I love that. I love that process behind it, and it feels like it instills confidence into the process and into the candidate that they're going to have that smooth experience, to support them. So that's really great. Ahryun, I'd love to get, do you have any thoughts around onboarding, the future of onboarding, and would love to hear maybe some of your thoughts.
Definitely. We actually onboarded 3 people completely remotely. 2 execs and 1 IC, and how we did it was definitely huge emphasis on, like Scott, what you mentioned was communication is how super important in light of what's going on. So communication, and also giving ways to give them more peer support and also repository of all the information that they need access to. So I think exactly like how Dominik and Ramesh explained their process, we have also 30-60-90 plan where the basically checklist. One thing that we have done was because of what's going on and everyone under a lot of water, we really wanted to rely on each other to onboard the 3 new folks successfully. So we actually gave each line item an owner within our current employee base, and they were supposed to meet with the new hire and either do a quick Zoom meeting to explain things or to kind of point them in the right directions. And one of those line items was actually coffee meetings with at least one person from different department. So the new hire actually gets to learn about the process, not only within their own department, but also the rest of the departments. So they can kind of get the bird's eye view of how the company works. And then the last thing was daily huddle. I think the importance of daily huddle is even more emphasized now because of the importance of communication. So the new execs, 2 new execs that we hired and fully onboarded completely remotely recently because of the daily huddle. And then we actually really made daily huddle not like 100% about work, but more about really get to know session. They have their kids usually, or their pets, their dogs running around, and so on. So it really gave us an opportunity to get to know them as a person on a daily basis because of that lack of to compensate for that lack of in-person interaction.
Great, fantastic. All right, so we're just a quick time check. We've got about 10 minutes or so here. So I want to get to, this might be one of our final questions from the audience. Are you seeing candidates making moves as easily in this environment? Since they aren't meeting teammates, seeing the office, how are you building those trusts with the candidates? Dominik, maybe I'll start with you on this one. What are you kind of seeing in this environment interacting with candidates?
Yeah, for sure. I have some feelings on this point because we have to admit that market turned into a quite hostile one, in recent times. So we keep we keep on hearing every day that people are laying off and their contracts are terminated in just one day. So just based on an example of last recruitment of mine. Can you hear me? I can hear some lags in connection.
I can hear you. Yep.
Okay, it's fine. I'm just ensuring. So based on the last example of my recruitment of developer to our company, I can say that the number of applications exceeded my expectations because many budgets for software projects were cut off. So people started to look for the new assignments, new projects, and we had a really tough decision in deciding who to offer, who to release the offer. So I couldn't expect such number of applications, but it happened, due to the coronavirus outbreak and all these layoffs that we can hear every day. So, but on the other hand, we still have some positions that are quite difficult to close, right? So we have, for example, to launch outreaching activities, right? Because during the times of employee market in IT, so before Corona, it has been always challenging, right? So now some of those who were headhunted for jobs in the past could land unexpectedly on job market after the layoff, right? So such person becomes now more open to listen about the role. So he or she might be more convinced to enter the recruitment process. So I can even feel that my changes, my methods in direct search haven't changed too much, because I follow my workshop. I use the same online portals and tools to identify and attract candidates to the job. So I also believe, in the power of network, for example, throughout the LinkedIn. So spreading such news can bring a really valuable candidate. So I think still there are some there is a bunch of candidates ready to start a new job as soon as possible, because they suffer from some decisions in layoffs. But I want to say that we still have to engage active sourcing, outreaching to candidates, because I have a feeling that in some recruitments I still miss the right quality of incoming applications, right? So I have to reach out for the best ones. I think there are some people, like some candidates, who can feel secure in their job, even in current times, because their companies weren't impacted so much by the pandemic. But however, last month showed us how unpredictable times we have. So I would encourage even such passive candidates to be at least opened, for a casual chat with recruiter. And indeed, you never know how it might be useful, and has such already built relationships can start paying off.
Fantastic. Great. Ramesh, would love to hear from your experience in interacting with candidates. The same question. What are you kind of sensing from them and their ability to kind of make a shift right now in this type of environment? What are you kind of hearing?
Totally. I reflect on the thoughts of Dominik. Coronavirus has changed a lot on both sides, either employer and also employee. Given that there are two things. One is the job security. The other one is the right fit. And the company always wants to see, what is the right fit for mutual interest. And then from the employee point of view, obviously, job security is very, very important at this time. And as things settle down, obviously, they want to have a career path, and they would like to see themselves growing and contributing. Given this tactical situation, it's our duty to kind of find the right match. It's like a engagement, any human relationship, your roommate, partner, or you're better off having a conversation, and then putting the pipeline in front of the leadership, where this pipeline is coming from. Is it aligned with our thinking? Is it more of a broader generalist role versus a specific role? And we would like to make sure this is aligned with their ambition as well, not just they're taking the job for the circumstances. And we can find other ways referring to the sister companies and other partnerships. But for our company, is this the strategic role? So having that question internally, working with the internal staffing team members or panelists or the tool itself, and then picking the candidates so that we are reducing the top of the funnel. We don't have to spend a lot of time finding the candidate rather than use the tool. And the second one is having the candid conversation. Do you know what is our vision? Have you done the groundwork on our company? And what do you know about our company? Can you please tell us? I know it is very challenging for the candidate point of view, but they also have to evaluate their options. If I am applying for this company, I would like to know what this company is all about, whatever the public information is available. Come back with some insight from external point of view. If you're a marketeer, if you're a product, if you're an engineer, there is a lot of information you can come back saying that, hey, I know you do this one, but I see there are a few things that I can suggest from my point of view. Then we know that he has done his groundwork and is passionate about our dream and mission. That's the first thing we ask. And second one is giving them a real example. Hey, these are the things you are going to do once you take the job. Can you tell me how you're going to operate? That kind of motivates them. Yes, this is aligned with my thinking, my skill set. I can be successful now. And that way they're willing to move fast. And to the same thread, like in an earlier question, all of the 4 offers, essential offers we made, they were very fast. Team member was super excited and the candidates are super excited. We moved fast, but at the same time, certain security controls, we had to delay at least 2 to 3 days background checks and shipping the computer and setting them up for success. But other than that, it's very positive, given that there is a groundwork happened ahead of the time.
Fantastic. Well, with that being said, we just have a few short minutes left here. I want to say thank you to all 3 of you. I've found this discussion to be enlightening, and thank you guys for your transparency and kind of giving us some key insights around how you're you're facing kind of dealing with the current environment, but then also forecasting and foreshadowing probably some of the things that we're going to use in the future to create, better remote cultures and using technology and collaboration more. And so really want to appreciate each one of your insights and want to thank you guys for partnering with Codility on this webinar too. So with that being said, stay safe, stay healthy, and really appreciate you guys being on with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Codility, for the opportunity,
Thank you very much.
for speaking to everyone.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.